with a warning that another American journalist, Steven Sotloff, is next. He could be the next captive beheaded. Meanwhile, the U.S. continuing its airstrikes against ISIS. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North joins us. Good evening, sir. And the report that Catherine just says is that they're going to treat the death of this journalist like a law enforcement operation.
Stunning. Yeah.
Breathtaking.
Well, and he didn't say that today in his remarks. He did. First of all, my condolences to the family and my prayers for them, because what they've witnessed is just horrific, the Foley family. Second, he talked at length about the horrors being perpetrated by ISIS. And then he says at the end of this, and this is a quote, "We will act against ISIL standing alongside others." What the hell does that mean? I mean, and again, I had the great blessing of working for a president who made decisions, acted, and then talked. So when Ronald Reagan said, "You can run, but you can't hide," we already had the terrorists in hand before they hijacked the cruise ship Achille Lauro. Here's what I think is happening right now, particularly with this announcement today, the recognition of what Catherine just said about, oh, there's probably going to be more Americans killed. Here's the facts as we know them. And from what I've gathered since that remarkable release that was conducted here just a few moments ago. Number one, Foley and the other Americans were being held by a Free Syrian Army organization that did not get the support that they'd been promised.
That was in Syria?
In Syria, Free Syrian Army. And they eventually got rolled up by ISIL, or ISIS, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves this week. And at that point, they turned over the prisoners. The raid is conducted after they'd been moved from point A to point B, proving what Catherine has said and what we've been saying all along. Our human intelligence is abysmal. And we do everything by signals intelligence.
We've got a CIA director who has gotten caught lying, well, and he, well, anyway, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no real clandestine service on the ground. So human intelligence is not existing. When they conducted the raid, they found out they weren't there. We now know where they are. They're in the hands of ISIS, ISIL, IS, and they are going to be murdered. I mean, this is a horrible fact of life on the ground. And what the president is saying when he says, we're going to act standing alongside others, it's hollow. It means nothing. And here's why you know. There's no second carrier battle group that's been deployed to the Mediterranean. There are no extra Marine expeditionary units that have been sent out. Those things have to happen.
Well, let me one-up you. Is that he said on Monday, I'm looking at his answer to a question from Steve Holland of Reuters when he had the press conference. He said that they said that a group like that is contained. That's what we want to do, is contain them, because ultimately they pose a threat to us. Everyone else says that ISIS is mobile. We've got Prime Minister David Cameron coming off his holiday because he's worried about what's going on in Britain. We've got the Iraqi ambassador to the United States who told me last night, he's going to be back here tonight, that ISIS is on the move, and he says it's a real threat to us, and we're trying to contain evil people?
What has to be done, there has to be a decision made, and this president can do it like that. He's got a pen, and he's got a telephone. Start attacking ISIS C-Cube, command, control, and communications nodes inside Syria. You can't give terrorist organizations a safe haven. If we've learned nothing since Vietnam, a safe haven is a formula for disaster.
Well, Secretary of State John Kerry has tweeted that ISIS must be eliminated. So he's not trying to contain it, at least he's trying to eliminate them.
Well, but the only way to do that is to go after the safe havens. The command, control, and communications, the high-value targets, the logistics facilities, all of those are in Syria. That's where all the M1 tanks.
Well, what about our bad intelligence?
Well,
I mean, it's like
you can see this stuff. You can look down from overhead and see the tanks and the artillery pieces and the arsenals and the armories, and this administration isn't doing it. God knows why.
Why?
Well, I hope it's not because they're coordinating with the Ayatollahs in Tehran.
It couldn't be that.
You hope not. I hope not,
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Anyway, I mean, it's like this is, I mean, and the whole thought, too, is that journalists are, at least, we're sort of helpful on the ground in terms of trying to bring information to protect other people. But what news organization is going to be sending journalists anymore?
I'll go.
No, I know you'll go. But anyway, Colonel North, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And President Obama finishing his remarks about